A while ago I made a video titled Video Game Feminism: The Nonsense Attacks on Games, and this is sort of an addition to that topic. The main focus of the mentioned video was on one of the loudest self-proclaimed media critics, Anita Sarkeesian, because her statements about games are the most baffling and outrageous misrepresentations. Seeing this kind of nonsense was a flashback for many gamers to the times when Grand Theft Auto, Doom and Counter-Strike were allegedly responsible for school shootings. But let's not open the can of blaming something complicated on a single issue today, otherwise I would be sitting here listing examples for hours. Wait, one thing I need to tell you. One of my new favorite accusations I just recently learned about comes out of the United States. Back in the 90s, some idiots wanted to ban Dungeons and Dragons because it leads to Satanism and sexual deviation. And I can tell you from experience, they got that wrong. But back to the topic. Over the course of the career of Anita Sarkeesian, complaining about harassment became more and more one of her main topics. And yes, indeed, she received harassment and still does. But I would also like to mention that fans of her made threats as well. Just remember the time when the YouTuber Hannibal the Victor threatened to murder Thunderfoot for criticizing Anita Sarkeesian's videos. Anyways, I would like you to never resort to that kind of shit. Only engage her on an intellectual level, critique her ideas, and always try to stay as polite as possible. The actual harassment she is getting allows her to constantly ride the victim train and basically make that her profession, apart from making videos with the standard recipe of picking a popular topic and then point out how that is sexist. Her crusade against harassment even led her to complain to the United Nations about harassment she is facing. But here comes the twist. Her definition of harassment is a little broader than most people's definition. Even legitimate criticism is considered to be harassment by her. I am sure a lot of you heard about the happenings at VidCon 2017. I don't want to go deeper into that because a lot of people already talked about it and both sides gave their account of the situation. And which side you agree with is up to your judgment. I just want to state that she even dismissed polite audience questions that simply questioned her beliefs. Apparently, those questions were harassment. Now, with her being an anti-harassment activist, one would expect her to be very considerate of her words and not to engage in anything that could be received as harassment by others. And I am not even referring to her lashing out at Carl Benjamin aka Sargon of Akkad at VidCon. I am referring to a story that she shared on her website, a fanfiction in which she murders Randy Pitchford, head of Gearbox Software. Now, if you raised an eyebrow, so did I. The whole thing is pretty awkward. And just for the fun of it, I recorded the whole story, so enjoy my cringy voice acting for a cringe-inducing story. Spider-Man recruits the help of Anita Sarkeesian to stop Randy Pitchford and the Green Goblin from resurrecting Duke Nukem. Apparently, this fanfic a la carte Tumblr creates short 1000-word stories based on user submissions. Someone seems to have requested a fanfic about me, and while it's certainly both surreal and bizarre, and written in the hyper-violent style typical of all Gearbox Software game narratives, I think I kinda like it. So I guess she endorses the message of what we're about to read. "I don't know about this," Anita Sarkeesian said. She clung for dear life to Spider-Man as he swung through the air. The people below seemed like ants, stopping to point at the masked man above them. "You must understand, Anita," Spider-Man said. "Duke Nukem may seem like an outdated and backwards franchise now, but they succeeded in bringing him back from the dead. The game industry will never recover." They swung past more buildings. Spider-Man turned a corner and the Plano, Texas downtown gave away the Gearbox Studios office. A dual-grey building that radiated evil as only a decent studio riding on the unexpected success of a single franchise could. There was a whir of jet engines, and Anita could hear the sound of sharp cackling. "Spider-Man!" Anita yelled as the shadow of the glider fell on them. "Spider-Man! Anita! So good of you to join us!" Green Goblin said. He held up a pair of pumpkin bombs. "A treat from Mr. Pitchford!" He threw the bombs, but both missed their mark, crashing into the building behind Spider-Man and Anita, and sending glass and rubble tumbling down into the streets below. "Anita, you're gonna have to take on Pitchford and Duke while I'll deal with the Green Gruesome here." "I don't think I can, Spider-Man," Anita said. They swung low to the entrance to Gearbox Studios. Don't worry, Anita, I believe in you. And though it might not seem like it does, the internet believes in you too. Thanks, Spider-Man, Anita said. No probs. Oh, and MJ told me to tell you she's a huge fan, he said, and the web zipped away just as another pumpkin bomb exploded a few yards away. The entrance to Gearbox Studios was a cathedral-like structure. Flying buttresses made of guns led up to carved busts of Gearbox's past characters. Mostly just Borderlands characters and a random soldier from Brothers in Arms. It was dark, but torches magically lit themselves once Anita had taken a few steps forward. Welcome, Anita. I've been expecting you. Not gonna lie, I thought Green Goblin was gonna be enough to take Spider-Man out, what with you weighing him down, said Pitchford on his throne of gold Borderlands 2 guns. On his left stood the desiccated corpse of Duke Nukem, a dried-out, mummified husk of a man being propped up by a pair of scantily clad, uncomfortable-looking schoolgirls. The faint spark of undead life flickered in his dark eyes, weak, but definitely on the verge of full lichtum, and a skeletal hand was trying to point at his balls. On his right, chained to a desk and PC, was Anthony Birch. His throne was flanked by a pair of cosplayers in Psycho Bandit costumes. I let that little insult slide, Pitchford. I'm here to stop you. What, from reviving Duke? Please, he might seem a little under the weather now, but you have no idea what kind of power he still has. Alas, you won't be around to see it. Guards, attack, he said. The Psycho Bandits rushed Anita, but they both went down after a pair of shots rang out in the hall. Anita had her gun out, a gold-plated Borderlands pistol. What? But how? How did you get past the magical barriers? Said Pitchford. Anita gave a nod of approval to Anthony, who shrugged when Pitchford looked at him with hurt in his eyes. Sorry, Randy, Anthony said and continued typing. Pitchford faced Anita, whose gun was now primed on his chest. Like you've got what it takes to shoot me, he said. She gave him a warning shot, just a few inches above his skull. He cowered it down and started stammering. Wait, Anita, please, don't kill me. You're right, the systemic problems of sexist depiction of women in the games needs to be stopped. And Gearbox can join you. Please, Duke Nukem was a mistake. I should have never tried to bring him back into this world. Run away, girls. Be free, he said, and the girls let Duke Nukem's body fall, where it collapsed into a pile of dust. I'm sorry, Anita, but look, if you let me live, I can fix this. I can have Anthony write a bunch of awesome female characters, and our next game is going to have one of the best female leads ever. People still remember Karen's chat, right? Homeworld? Anita nodded. Homeworld was an enjoyable series. I mean, this whole Duke thing was just a huge misunderstanding. I'm sure we can convince a few other studios to do the same. Get more women, or at least more writers who are actually considerate of how women are depicted in gaming, and we can really alter the status quo, Pitchford said. Don't worry, Randy. It takes a big person, man or woman, to admit they were wrong. And you're right. You don't deserve to die for that. Oh, great. Because for a second there I was really worried. She shot him once, twice, 3 times. The sound of the shot echoing in the grand hall of Gearbox Studios. Holy shit! Anthony Birch said. He couldn't stop typing. Anita, why? I said I wanted to change, Randy said. He clutched at his open wounds. Blood was dripping in gouts from his golden gun throne. That's for alien colonial marines, she said. Randy looked at her again, at first with anger, but then with a look of complete understanding, as though deep down he'd always known it was always going to end this way. He sighed one last time, and then died. Anita turned and walked away, but paused and looked at the throne, at the power of Gearbox. She looked at the gun in her hand, the body of Randy Pitchford already returning to the demonic warp. His blood was gone, and the throne was gleaming and clean. More Psycho Bandits had emerged from the shadows, looking for a sign of their master. Anita took a step up to the throne, then another, then sat down as the whole Gearbox studio had gathered before her. They waited for her command. Let's make a game, she said. God, what a fucking piece of... Ugh. No, I'm serious. This is... What a superb piece of literature. You know what? I'm going to rip apart my copy of Faust or any other master, and Margarete is absolutely nothing compared to this. An absolute masterpiece. Well, I hope you enjoyed my reading. I am aware that this story is absolute ridiculous fiction, but consider this. If the roles were reversed, Miss Sarkeesian would with no doubt consider this to be horrible harassment, fantasizing about her being murdered. This story would be carried around like an icon. See, now they are writing stories about my murder. This is what Gamergate is. This is toxic masculinity. This whole idiotic narrative is still being pushed today by our regular suspects. Polygon referred to Gamergate as an online hate group in one of their recent articles defending Anita Sarkeesian and her actions. And they of course also support her stance on not engaging in discussion with her critics because they only act in bad faith anyway. But this narrative crumbles when you notice her aggressive reaction to moderates on the harassment topic like Boogie, and the fact that several of her feminist colleagues, like Francesca Ramsey, have the backbone to directly talk to critics. I may disagree with her on a lot, but I do respect her for that. I can't say the same about Miss Sarkeesian. She tries to actively avoid having her ideas contested in any way or form, to not having to admit to any errors when presented with evidence debunking her claims. But well, Anita Sarkeesian is right when she says women are used as background decoration.
There's a lot of fucking super chats.
And to close the circle again in the end, the antagonist, or should I say victim of the story I just read to you, Randy Pitchford, seems to not really be a fan of the story. And honestly, I am not aware of what he did to warrant having this kind of story written about him, other than publishing games that Miss Sarkeesian does not like. The question I want to pose in the end: considering her definition of harassment, didn't she harass the head of Gearbox Software, Randy Pitchford? And isn't this all a bit hypocritical of her? So, thank you for watching. I'll be interested in reading your take on the situation in the comment section down below. See you guys next time. Till then, have a nice day, and as always, goodbye and guten Tag.
Everything is sexy.